Heavenly Father, today we thank you, coming first just to say thank you and to ask for your grace, your guidance, your love on us, your people. Give us the wisdom to lead your people and wisely. Heavenly Father, allow us to be good stewards of your resources, of your good stewards of your resources and your land. Allow us to be the leaders you require us to be for this moment. Amen.
All right, let's get right to it, Mr. Attorney or Madam Attorney.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can we have the zoning director read his opening statement and swear in the speakers?
Yes, sir. And would you like to set the agenda before he does that?
Let's go ahead and do that. We have a motion. Do you need to read anything, Mr. Attorney, or? We have a motion by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, a second by the Vice Chair. All in favor of setting the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the agenda hereby set. All right. Go ahead, zoning director.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Eric Silva, RER. In accordance with the Code of Miami-Dade County, all items to be heard today have been legally advertised in the newspaper, notice have been mailed, and the properties have been posted. Additional copies of the agenda are available here in the chambers. Items will be called up to be heard by agenda number and name of applicant. Please note, board action on any item at today's meeting may be reconsidered and additional action may be taken on such item at the same meeting. Applicants and members of the public may wish to govern themselves accordingly. The record in the file for the hearing on each application will include documents from the public, agencies, the Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, and where there's an appeal from the Community Zoning Appeals Board, we also have the transcript from those hearings. All documents are physically present today, available to all interested parties, and available to the members of the Board of County Commissioners who may examine these items from the record during the hearing. Parties have the right of cross-examination. This statement, along with the fact that all witnesses have been sworn in, shall be included in any transcript of these proceedings. In addition, there's an official translator present in the chambers for those individuals requiring such assistance. Will the clerk please swear in the witnesses?
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Interpreters? Do you swear or affirm that you will make a true interpretation of the questions asked and testimony given? Thank you.
Director, do we have any requests for deferrals?
We have no deferrals on the zoning agenda.
All right, can we go ahead and start with 3A, 3A supplement, and 3A1 with its companion zoning 8C4?
Yes, sir. All three CDMP applications today before you are small scales, and they were previously heard on first reading. These applications are before you today for public hearing and final action. For each application, I will read the ordinance title and reference a companion resolution in the event that the board wishes to convert the item to a standard application and transmit. However, if the board takes final action today, the companion resolution will be deemed withdrawn. In addition, as you mentioned, we have two concurrent items today. For the concurrent applications, there'll be a single public hearing held for both the CDMP and zoning applications. This hearing will be conducted in accordance with quasi-judicial principles, and the public hearing will be incorporated into the record for both the CDMP and zoning items. For the record, the concurrent zoning applications are 8C4 that goes with 3A and 8C2 that goes with 3C. So first is 3A. This is the ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2024-6, generally located on the southeast corner of Southwest 278th Street and Southwest 154 Avenue on the west side of Harriet Tubman Highway and the South Dade Transitway, filed by 278th Street Development LLC in the May 2024 cycle to amend the county's Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing severability exclusion from the code and an effective date. This is item 3A. 3A supplement. The companion resolution, as I mentioned, is 3A1, and the concurrent item is 8C4. This is a public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. I will go ahead and open up public hearing, but I have no public speakers signed up to speak on any of these items. So I'll go ahead and close public speaking, but allow the applicant to say a few words.
Thank you. Hugo Arza, 701 Brickell Avenue. Pleasure to be here before you. We enjoy staff's recommendation of approval on both CDMP and zoning. We have discussed with the commissioner for the district the efforts that we made with the neighbors, and I think it's a reflection of the fact we've addressed their concerns, that there's no one here today. So I'm happy to not take up any time on a presentation and just answer your questions, or of course, if you wish.
That works. Thank you, Mr. Arza. Commissioner from District 8, you're recognized, and let the record reflect again that public hearing has been closed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Hugo, for your work on this application and for taking the time to meet with the neighbors. You do enjoy a recommendation of staff approval. There is within the application recommendation coming from our Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces that speaks to recommendations to improve connectivity, green spaces, shade trees. I'd like to know your client's position on incorporating those recommendations into the application.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Yes, we fully intend to work with PROS, with the Parks Department, to incorporate those recommendations, the shade trees, the bicycle racks, the benches and stuff. Obviously, we appreciate the proximity to the South Dade Trail, so the project will be developed with those considerations in mind. And when we submit for an ASPR, Parks will review and we'll make sure that we check those boxes and provide what we've received in the recommendation. But yes, we will work to include those.
Okay, thank you so much. With that, I move this application consistent with staff's recommendations.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Do you need any clarification on the motion? No, right?
I believe, if I may, I believe that staff, because there's very slight discrepancies between the two covenants, wanted the now standard 30 days so that we can make sure, or are we good now?
Mr. Arza, my understanding from staff is that they were recommending the 10-day condition to submit the final declaration and the joinder and opinions of title.
I mean, they've all been submitted, I think, that in original form. I think they just wanted some changes, correct?
You need 10 days or 30 days?
It doesn't matter to me, yeah. I mean,
I think staff was recommending just 10 days.
Okay, so 10 days works.
you know, yeah, absolutely. It
All
doesn't
right,
matter.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bastian,
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins,
4.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Gonzalez,
4.
Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Regalado,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg, Vice Chairman McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. And Mr. Attorney, do we need to take item 8C4 separately now?
Yes, and I believe the zoning director has one thing to add to the record.
Go ahead, Zoning Director.
Application 8C4, 278 Street Development, application Z20240000107. We've had no protests, no waiver of support, and we did distribute a signed zoning covenant earlier today to the board.
All right, Sean, given that public hearing was had, Commissioner from District 8, you're recognized for a motion.
I move consistent with staff's recommendations.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add that it's with the proffered covenant. Thank you.
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins,
4.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Gonzalez,
4.
Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Regalado,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg, Commissioner Bastian, Vice Chairman McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and take item 3B, 3B supplement, and 3B1. Director, go ahead.
Item 3B is the ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2024-7, located on the north side of Southwest 122 Street and adjacent to the west side of the South Dade Transitway, followed by South Dixie and 122 LLC, in the May 2024 cycle to amend the CDMP, providing severability exclusion from the code and effective date. That's item 3B, 3B supplement, 3B1, and the companion item. No, there's no companion item on this one, sir.
All right, so let's go ahead and open public hearing for both of these. And I will start with the public first. I've got 3 speakers. Please come up when I call your name. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. Say your name and address for the record. Jane K. Hagel, Rosemary Pringle, and Daniel Del Rio Perez.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jane Hagel. I live at 8250 Southwest 115th Street. Many of my neighbors and I have come before you several times last year in opposition to the developer, Mr. Garcia's plans to build an ALF in our residential neighborhood. However, ultimately, the ALF was not approved. I'm here today in support of Mr. Garcia's latest plan to build 22 residential homes on that same property. Many of my neighbors who could not be here today are also in favor of Mr. Garcia's new development. We are optimistic that this project will complement our surrounding residential neighborhood and strengthen our effort to preserve the integrity of our homes without the intrusion of a for-profit business. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Hagel. Rosemary Pringle?
My name is Rosemary Pringle. I live at 8473 Southwest 122 Street. Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Jane has filled you in on most of it. I just want to add one thing. I am here today to express our support for Mr. Garcia's new request. The revised plan aligns with the residential character of our neighborhood, and we believe it will be a positive addition to the community. However, while we are optimistic about this new direction, we do have one important request that we would like to address. We seek reassurance that there will be a covenant in place to ensure that the project will remain strictly limited to no more than 22 residential homes. This covenant would be crucial not only for us as current residents, but also for the future of the neighborhood. If Mr. Garcia chooses to sell the property at any point, we want to be certain that the new owner is legally bound by the same commitment to limit the development to 22 homes. This agreement would offer peace of mind to all of us and prevent future changes that might once again alter the nature of our neighborhood. We hope that the zoning board will take this into consideration and work with us and Mr. Garcia to establish this covenant before proceeding with the project. Once again, we support this revised proposal and look forward to seeing it move forward with the proper assurances in place. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Ms. Pringle. Daniel Del Rio Perez?
Good morning. My name is Daniel Perez. I reside at 8285 Southwest 121st Terrace, Miami, Florida, postal code 33156. Thank you for being here today and for the opportunity to speak. As Commissioner Gilbert said during the opening prayer, we are thankful today, thankful for all of your leadership and for hearing from the public and welcoming public input. My front door faces this lot. I live across the street. I have here 43 petitions from residents within 1,000 feet of this lot. We do not ask you to change how you vote today. Just add the word residential to the proposed declaration. The existing restrictions limiting the lot to 12 dwelling units and previously a covenant running with the land to limiting use to a single-family home reflect the character of our neighborhood. The applicant will make zoning arguments as to why the word residential should not be included in this declaration of restrictions. Why should this issue be left up for future zoning hearings when the applicant is committing to build residential? Nothing stops this owner from selling to another LLC with different zoning plans, and this is the second attempt to remove the 2015 Declaration of Restrictions, which the applicant previously agreed to. You have the power today to put their representations in writing. Amend the proposed declaration by including the word residential. Zoning is changing because of the Live Local Act and Rapid Transit Activity Corridor. We need this in writing. Residents have had concerns on all applications by them, including today with these 43 petitions. Last but certainly not least, thank you to my commissioner for District 8, who has always led by representing the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. All right, that is all the public speakers I have signed up to speak on these items. Ms. Tapinas, if you'd like, as the applicant.
Yes, good morning. Melissa Tapinas, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami, representing the applicant. Thank you. We have a full presentation, but I think everyone's very familiar with this project. So we have earned a favorable staff recommendation. We've committed to the Parks Department to work on the implementation of the South Dade Trail, and we will be proffering those plans as part of a zoning application. We've developed and nurtured a good relationship with the neighbors. We will continue to do that through the zoning process. The request is for the release of the 2015 covenant and the replacement with an amended and restated covenant. It does provide for, in number 3, density. The property shall be developed with a maximum of 22 units. To us, that is residential. It's residential density, and so that's what was approved by staff. We have the executed covenant with staff today. With that, we would respectfully request your support today. This requires a super majority of those commissioners present, and of course, our entire team is available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for being so prepared, Ms. Tapanes. I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing at this time, and the commissioner from the 8th District has the floor and can ask additional questions if need be.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the neighbors who came out to speak in support of this application, and thank you to the applicant for taking the time to meet with the neighbors. I don't know if my colleagues recall, this was a very controversial application last year in my district that garnered quite a bit of tension and angst here at the board, and the board was split on whether to provide the ALF facility or not. I was opposed to it because it just didn't fit at that particular location. And since then, the applicant revised the application, continued to meet with the neighbors, and I am greatly appreciative of what I consider being an example of the process actually working, where the community gets together, becomes very organized, becomes vocal advocates on behalf of their quality of life, their investment in their homes and in their community, and someone that is coming in to benefit and improve the community listens, takes those thoughts and concerns into consideration, and amends their application to provide a product that is needed, but that is equally consistent with the surrounding neighborhood. So I am grateful to the applicant, I am grateful to the residents, and I am very, very thankful for the proffered declaration of restrictions and to the concerns that were raised by those who came and spoke. I have the proffered declaration of restrictions in front of me, and it does clearly state that it is 22 residential homes, but in addition, there are traffic impact mitigations that the applicant has agreed to. There are traffic calming measures that the applicant has agreed to. They have also agreed to the preservation of specimen trees, and they have also agreed to signal optimization at key intersections near and abutting the project to help with the flow of traffic because it can get very congested there due to the neighboring school, so on and so forth. So I'm very, very happy with this. I am grateful for the staff's recommendation of approval, and I'm very happy to move this item consistent with the same. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
So the item moved by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, seconded by Commissioner Higgins. Madam Attorney, do you need to clarify anything? Awesome, I love that. All right, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins,
4.
Commissioner Gilbert, Commissioner Gonzalez, Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Regalado, Commissioner Steinberg, Commissioner Bastian, Commissioner Cabrera, Vice Chairman McGee, Chairman Rodriguez.
Oh, yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Ms. Tapanes. All right, Mr. Attorney, let's take item 3C, 3C supplement, and 3C1 with its companion in zoning as well, 8C2.
Yes, sir. Item 3C is an ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2023-28, located at the northwest corner of Southwest 26th Street, Coral Way, and Southwest 144 Avenue, filed by MMG Coral Way LLC as an out-of-cycle application to amend the county CDMP, providing severability exclusion from the code and effective date. That's item 3C. 3C supplement, 3C1, and the companion zoning item, as you mentioned, is 8C2. Public hearing.
Thank you, Annette. Am I going crazy, or does the director usually read these statements?
With respect to the ordinance titles, I usually read those, and then the director will read the zoning application that goes with it. So
Got it.
So both things are.
I was going crazy today. I said, Director, are you sick or something? You have a cold? All right, I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing. I've got 2 speakers. Once again, state your name and address for the record. You have 2 minutes to speak on the item. Guillermo Rodriguez and Alex Silva. Guillermo Rodriguez, and Alex Silva. Si están aquí, if you guys are here, Guillermo o Alex, pueden pasar. Do we need a translator for him? Do we have a translator here? ¿Habla inglés?
Yes.
Okay. Su nombre y su dirección, your name and address?
My name is Guillermo Rodriguez. I live in 14400 Southwest 22nd Street, Miami, Florida 33175.
Tienes 2 minutos.
Okay, I have a concern that they're going to develop in there and a business and houses and there, and they're going to increase the traffic jam in there. And we have already big problem in there on the same in 144 Avenue and Coral Way. They have in there a private school and the single family home. They have no parking spot whatsoever, and every day is a nightmare in there. So in the top of that, we're going to have another business in there and going to have a lot of traffic in there. So in the 144 Avenue, we don't have one single sign or speed limit whatsoever. We want that land keep on houses as a neighborhood that we have it already. I think a business in there is not a good idea. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Mr. Rodriguez. Alex Silver? Did your partner register to speak as well?
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name and
Name's
address,
Alex
please.
Silva, 2619 Southwest 144th Place, Miami, Florida 33175. I spoke with some of my neighbors, and we're off bat. We don't know exactly what's going on. So we're going by word of mouth of the petition that went on, and the only thing I got was the letter of this meeting here today. And as you can see, this is only good for people that are retired or disabled, and so you can't have people representing or talking as to what's going on, or they approve, disapprove. So it's like we're having a bad communication as to what should be done there. We need to figure out a way to communicate to everybody what's going on. Between this and the app and neighbors is how we're finding out what's actually going on there. So I ask you to please give us more information so that we can make a proper judgment of what we should vote against or for what's going to go on in this area. Right now we have a big problem with that school. I live right in back of that school, and traffic is terrible at 8 in the morning and at 2 in the afternoon. And when that school went up, they did the traffic thing, and they purposely decided to do it not on the hours of where traffic is taking place. So they kept on saying, because they're lawyers, they have lawyers, we don't, they kept on saying, no, the traffic's okay. But it's not, because we have Braddock traffic, and we have all this other commercial traffic coming from these other schools coming around. So I need more information as to what's taking place for this area, because we don't have it. So I would appreciate it if you guys can help us with that.
Of course, Mr. Silva. So my recommendation is that you stick around, listen to this item be heard now in just a second, and the applicant, as far as the district commissioner as well. But if you need additional information, I want to make sure that staff and our attorneys can sidebar with you afterwards and make sure you have all the information for you and your neighbors.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Very much. Appreciate it.
All right, that said, those are all the public speakers I do have registered to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and close public hearing for purposes of the public, but the applicant may approach, state your name and address, and how much time you're going to need.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Slavens. My address is 3800 Northeast 1st Avenue, Suite 200, Miami, Florida. I think I can get through the presentation in about 8 minutes or less.
I'm sorry.
Commissioners, come on. Come on.
And I can skip the presentation, but since we have someone with questions, I would think it might be helpful.
So here's what I'd like to do. Give me just 1 second. Commissioner Gonzalez, this is in your district. What is your preference?
My preference would be to give her at least 6 minutes.
5?
5 minutes sounds good.
I can do it.
6 is like an odd number.
Yeah, it's odd, right?
Well, it's an even number, but it's like a weird number.
Odd. Odd in the sense that it's
Thank you for that, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. None of our bright colleagues caught that except for you.
Just
odd in the sense that it's weird.
It's
Seven.
a weird number.
seven
All right,
is
we just-
perfect and biblical.
We just we just wasted a minute. So you got 5. Go ahead. Let's hear, because we do have some residents here. Go ahead. We do have some residents here, so let's have the presentation.
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of MMG Coral Way, who is the contract purchaser of the property, and Cortegera 14424 LLC, which is the owner of the property. Am I using the right clicker? Okay. The project, as some of the neighbors have mentioned, is at the intersection of Southwest 144th Avenue on the north side of Coral Way. It's about 6.72 acres, and it's surrounded by development. It's remained vacant since the beginning of time, and there was a zoning application that was approved back in 2004, which sought the approval of some single-family homes on the property back when the property was part of a larger undeveloped region of the county. And since then, the area has developed into a real community. The Coral Way portion that's here on the south side of the street is a major corridor. The CDMP encourages mixed-use development here. We've spent a lot of time meeting with staff and with the immediately surrounding neighbors that border this property. And we have determined that the best development program for this project is to do a horizontal mixed use. So we're seeking a CDMP amendment to redesignate the property to office residential, which will allow for the mixed use development. We're rezoning the south half of the property to MCD, which is the mixed-use corridor district, and the north half of the property to RU4L, which will allow for townhome development. The project generally includes 27,000 square feet of retail, which will provide a grocery store and a quick service restaurant, and 38 townhome units. As you can see, the area has mixed use around it. It's all horizontal mixed use, so this fits very well into the pattern of development in the area. And just to give a little history of this application, we started following the mixed use development criteria in the master plan to the letter, and originally proposed a 200-unit, 4-story apartment building and 45,000 square feet of commercial use. But when we met with the neighbors, we realized that this was too intense. And so over the course of the last few months, we've reduced the plan from 200 to 50 units and 27,000 square feet of commercial use, down again to what you see today, which is 38 townhome units and 27,000 square feet of commercial use. The townhome units have a significant buffer around them, so backyards are not to backyards of the adjacent single-family homes, and same is true for the commercial uses. There's a large separation between our property line and any of the buildings. This allows us to pay special attention to the needs of the neighbors and the concerns that they raise with us. And we've also proffered 2 covenants, a CDMP covenant, which will tie us into this development program of 38 units and 27,000 square feet of commercial. The CDMP covenant also requires the owner to make a contribution to Tree Island Park, which is a little bit north and west of this property, but within walking distance. And we've committed to work with the Parks and Recreation and Open Space Department to design and build a splash pad and shade sails for the park, which I think will be a lovely neighborhood amenity, and it's something that I think is very much needed in this area. The zoning covenant creates our restrictions for development on the ground level. So the zoning covenant includes a restriction to require an 8-foot wall along the north and west property lines to create more buffer for the neighbors. It limits the height of the buildings, it limits the development program, and it requires landscaping. One other thing that it does, which I think will address the comments of the first gentleman that spoke, is it proffers a traffic signal at the southeast corner of the property at 144th Avenue and 26th Street, Coral Way. That signal will help to alleviate some of the school traffic, because a lot of the issue is that people coming south on 144th cannot go straight or make a left turn there. The signal will help to create space for those traffic movements to happen, and I think it will control some of the intersection blocking issues that happen. So we've committed to do all of that, which we think has been well received by our immediate neighbors. We've submitted letters of support. Most of those letters are copies of the plan that you see in front of you with a signature and a statement that says, I do not object or I approve to this plan. So we've done our best to work with everyone, and we hope that you'll agree that this is a good project that fills out the neighborhood. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have as my time runs out.
Right on cue. Commissioner from District 11, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I do have a Jennings disclosure to make. So during the course of outreach, speaking to constituents in town halls, I had folks that did approach me and talk to me about this very project. These communications do not affect my ability to be impartial. Therefore, I will base my decision only upon the evidence presented during the public hearing today. And with that being said, the first thing I'd like to do is to recognize Guillermo Rodriguez and Alex Silva. Thank you so much for coming in today, guys. This is how your voices are heard. I appreciate you coming all the way down here and expressing your concerns. And with that, to the applicant, I want to thank you guys too. I really do. Because about 2 years ago when I heard rumors of what was going on there, we had a meeting and I expressed to you that too much density in that area, 1,000 apartment buildings will never work. West Kendall is a place with too much traffic. And the reason that we have too much traffic is because there's no connectivity, right? And the only way to alleviate that is through live, work, play. And so I know that you folks, and so I told you two things. I told you that, but I also told you, you need to speak to the people. You need to have town halls. If you got to knock on doors, go out there and knock on doors. And I am thoroughly impressed. I am very impressed because I walk my district every month. Once, one day a month, I go out there and I talk to the folks in my community, aside from the town halls. And I walked this very community, and I had a lot of people tell me, some didn't have very nice things to say, right? But others had great things to say. And the folks that didn't have nice things to say eventually came to my office and told me about conversations that they had with you folks, including the one that has to do with the traffic light. The traffic light that Guillermo mentioned is, it's really important because that school really locks down that entire area, and then folks can't get in and out. I think a traffic light would alleviate that. I would like to get some input from the administration as far as how do you folks feel that a traffic light would help that traffic jam in that particular school?
Jerry Bell, Planning Director through the chair. I don't know if we have anybody from Public Works here today, but certainly I think the traffic light, would assist with the traffic flow.
Can you elaborate?
Yes, I can. So the way that I can tell you about the installation of the traffic light. We have committed to doing this during the construction. We believe we've done a preliminary traffic signal warrant study that we will submit following the approval of these applications if the commission deems to do so today, that shows that their warrants exist today for that signal. So we will start the process to implement the approval and construction of the signal immediately. We intend to have the signal installed before our certificates of occupancy are issued, but we have to work with Public Works and make sure that the timing is accurate. But we believe that it will help control the AM peak hour traffic controls that are needed, because right now that's a two-way stop and two-way through. And so people on Coral Way don't stop for anyone going north or south. And the school drop-off backs everything up on all four sides of the intersection. So with a signal, you'll have pauses, which will allow traffic to flow in two directions at the busiest times, but also during the day. And school pickup is often at an earlier hour than the work PM rush hour. But it will help control that too, because my understanding, and I haven't been out there during pickup or drop off, but that it is gridlocked. You live there, right? And I mean, I know that. It's gridlocked, and a stop sign isn't enough.
No.
And so we believe that the signal will help, and once it's installed, we'll work with the Public Works Department to make sure that the timing of the reds and greens makes sense for the flow of traffic at the given times of day that they're the worst.
Did you folks work on this with Public Works, or how did you come about this solution?
It was a solution that came about based on neighborhood feedback. The residents asked us for it, so we increased the scope with our traffic engineering team, which is from Kimley Horn, to start doing the signal warrant analysis now, even though we haven't started our site plan process. The site plan will be an administrative process that comes after this. Usually that's when you start, but we've already started because we understood the importance, and we wanted to be sure that the signal was something that we could install. The way the Public Works Department decides whether a signal can be approved or not is based on the warrants, whether there's enough traffic in those intersections to justify installing the signal. And our analysis shows that it does, and we will submit that to the county in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much. And to the administration, if we can in the future have folks from Public Works present, I'd like for everybody to take this seriously, right? CDMP and zoning, we're talking about traffic as well. Somebody should be here, because I would have liked to have a perspective that is not somebody who works for the developer. I would have liked to have that perspective, and it's just embarrassing that a county of this magnitude, we don't have somebody here from Public Works to even show face. Let's talk about the shopping area, right? What specifically is going to go in that shopping area, and how did you folks come to the conclusion of putting whatever it is you're going to put there?
It will be a grocery store and a quick service restaurant. We have been negotiating with tenants, but I don't know that I can release their names at this time, but I think the rumors are out in the neighborhood of who they are. What we found was that there's a large population of residences around this neighborhood, and right now there's a Publix down the street, but no alternative option for smaller boutique grocery. And so there's a lot of grocery tenants that were very excited about coming here, and one of them I think will be a nice improvement. They offer a lot of organic foods and lower prices. And then the restaurant, it's a quick service restaurant that has a very die-hard following. People love it. They flock to it. They drive miles to get to one, and this is an ideal location based on what they think is their customer base to put a new store.
Thank you. And to staff, do we have adequate parking there?
Yes, they have adequate parking.
Awesome. Okay. Can I get somebody from the Parks Department, please? You see, the Parks Department is here. This is my favorite department. Thank you so much, sir. As a matter of fact, I'd like to recognize Maria Nardi and the mayor for the amazing work they're doing in my district with parks. It is incredible, incredible. We're redoing our parks, and you folks have just been incredible. Thank you so much, one, for being here, and thank you to Maria for all the hard work she's doing in our parks. So, sir, you just heard these folks have just proffered that they're going to be making a contribution for a splash pad and a sale.
Shade sales, yes.
Shade sales. For when I read the covenant, you guys are going above and beyond. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that you reached out to the community, spoke to the community. I really, really, really appreciate that. So to parks, I feel like this would be a great asset when I read it. Can I get your opinion on that?
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. Alex Cecil, Miami-Dade County Parks, Recreation and Open Spaces, Chief of Parks Planning and Research. Yes, we agree. It would be a great improvement to the park. We have been in conversations with the applicant, so we support that contribution and that improvement.
Thank you so much, Alex. The only thing I would like to add is I need you to work with them to make sure that this happens as quickly as possible, please.
Definitely, will do.
And with that, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move with staff's recommendations.
Second.
All right, show, not everybody at the same time here. Not so fast. All right, we got a motion to move per staff recommendation. We have a second. We have 2 seconds. Pick and choose fast. Who's seconding? Who's seconding? Who's second? 1, 2, 3 seconds. All right, Cohen-Higgins takes it. I think the vice chair may have allowed that to happen. Abby, I think you want to say something.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to mention that the applicant has requested 10 days to submit the final executed covenant, so that would be
And that's a
added.
reasonable request, right, Commissioner? That's appropriate. All right, any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Gilbert? Commissioner Gonzalez?
4.
Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Commissioner Steinberg? Commissioner Bastian?
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins?
4.
Vice Chairman McGee? Yes. Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
you very much.
Mr. Attorney, do we need to take item 8C2 separately?
Yes, sir, and the zoning director will introduce the number.
All right, we get to hear you talk.
Okay, application 8C2, Cortiguera 14424 LLC, application Z20230000508. No protest and no waiver of support in this application, and the applicant has requested 30 days to submit the zoning covenant, the signed covenant.
All right, public hearing has been had. Commissioner from District 11, you're recognized for a motion. Commissioner from District 11, you're just recognized for a motion to move the item as.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move pursuant to staff recommendations.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by the vice chair because Commissioner Cohen-Higgins was drinking her coffee.
Oh, Jesus.
Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, wait, hold on. Do not call the roll. Commissioner Bastian, you're recognized.
Yes, I was trying to get your attention. Commissioner, when I reviewed the application, I realized that there was no provision for workforce housing. But in the initial plan, there was. But I do understand that there is a reduction in the number of units, but still, to not have any workforce housing at all, I think we are cutting ourselves short by not having any workforce at all.
Would you like to respond to that?
Yes, Commissioner, thank you. Originally, you're correct, Commissioner Bastien. We submitted a plan with 200 units, and of those 200 units, 12.5% were allocated for workforce housing at 120% AMI or below. But we lost 162 units in this process and are now proposing, instead of a 200-unit apartment building, 38 townhomes. Because of that and the way the economics translated, we unfortunately had to eliminate the set aside for the workforce housing units. However, these townhomes will be priced at a level that is significantly below the price for listings in the neighborhood for the single-family homes. There really isn't a townhome product like this in the neighborhood. Most of the units in the neighborhood are single-family, so by virtue of the nature of their design, they are priced at a lower price point, and we think will satisfy more of the workforce market.
Commissioner Bastian.
Yes, yes, thank you for your response. So in the original application, there was 12.5% of the 25 units set aside for workforce, right?
Of the 200.
For at least 30 years. I understand your argument about the reduction of the units, but however, from 12.5% to 0, when Miami-Dade County is going through an affordable housing crisis, I think it's a huge deal. So I'm asking if there could be some considerations for at least a few, not for 12.5%, but at least for a few.
Well, hold on. So is it still another question, or you just wanted to put that on the record?
That's a question. Why not? Could there be a consideration for at least from 12.5 to 0?
So I think the point that she made, though, Commissioner, and this is not my district, I let the district commissioner step in, is they originally had 200 units. It went down to 38 townhomes. So I think that reduces, the price point, that reduces traffic significantly in the community.
I understand.
I'll let, no, guys, no, stop. Commissioner from District 11, this is your district, so I'm not gonna go down this path of, hold on. I know you could probably solve it. I know you have the answers, but this is in Commissioner Gonzalez's district, and the Commissioner Bastian has a very,
Thank you, Mr. Chair,
passionate.
and thank you to Commissioner Bastian for that question. Is it economically feasible? Is it economically feasible and doable for this project to offer workforce housing? And if it is not, and you explain it well, are there any possible incentives or possible help that will be given to, let's say, a young family that wants to go into this neighborhood? Is there anything that could be available?
The first question, is it economically feasible? The answer is unfortunately no. Because of the huge reduction in units, we lost the ability to make those concessions.
Right.
In doing that, though, as you are aware and as we've discussed here today, there are significant public benefits that this developer has proffered that are over and above their obligations under the code, and that is intended to be the benefit to the community. We also,
And what about the price point? Because most of the homes that are in that area are single family homes. These are townhomes. So are they at a reduced price point as far as affordability for the folks that want to move into a neighborhood like that?
Yes, that's correct. I looked on Zillow the other day, and the average listing price for homes in the neighborhood, single-family homes, within a few blocks are in the $900,000 to $1 million range, $900,000 to $1 million range. These townhomes will be more in the $600,000 range. So it is a significant drop. It's 30 to 40% less expensive than a single-family home in the neighborhood, which we think will help to attract young families, empty nesters, and people that want to live here but can't afford to live here in the products that are available today.
Thank you. And to my great colleague, Commissioner Regalado, what say you, my friend?
So, yes, thank you. It's just really quick, just something to consider. Thank you.
It's one of you two.
Yeah.
Only one is getting recognized.
An ADU, you can put an ADU in a townhouse, and it gives the price point that Commissioner Bastian is talking about. It's middle housing. We actually, in Miami-Dade County, we have, in our zoning code, you can do ADUs. So you could put an ADU in a townhouse, and you actually get the price point that she's talking about without changing the development.
No. ADU, okay, so ADU is multifamily, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not considered multifamily. You could put an ADU in a townhouse, and an older person can live there. Yeah, it's just a separate unit that's part of the townhouse that has.
Efficiency, no.
We call it efficiencies. It's a legal efficiency.
It's a-
Legal efficiency.
Trust
in
me,
a
I've got them all over my district now because of an item that was passed prior to me being.
They were there before. They're just being legalized now.
Probably
but-
should have gone with Oliver.
Yeah.
I think I should have.
Sir, I apologize. I apologize, sir. I
In
apologize.
fairness, I didn't go with Regalado.
profusely.
She went on her own. In fairness, I didn't go. Commissioner Gilbert, I will give you a stab at the apple.
Listen, we sacrifice something all the time. And so when we ask folks to sacrifice density, people can't build units for free. When we ask them to sacrifice density, we have to expect that when you build fewer products, there's less of an opportunity to actually offer for workforce. Having said that, this is still workforce accessible. It's workforce accessible because of the area income. And so I'm comfortable with the item. This is a project we like, and we do like the project. I'm comfortable that young first time home buyers, families will have the ability to access these units. And that's without which is interesting, but that would change the entire project.
Commissioner,
that would change their entire project, Raquel.
Commissioner Bastian.
To say is that if the commissioner of the district is comfortable.
Thank you, Commissioner.
support it.
Thank you, Commissioner. But I do appreciate your concerns and your comments always.
Thank you.
So with that, I am comfortable. I'd like to move it.
All right. No, it's been moved. It's been seconded. Clerk, please call the question.
Commissioner Gonzalez,
4.
Commissioner Higgins, Commissioner Regalado,
Yes.
Commissioner Steinberg, Commissioner Bastian, Commissioner Cabrera, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins,
4.
Commissioner Gilbert, Vice Chairman McGee,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. And we did not build legal efficiencies. Let the record reflect. We did not do legal efficiencies in Commissioner Gonzalez's district.
Point of order, though, I will say.
No.
You brought it up. If you look at the new houses that are being built in Commissioner Gonzalez's district.
Gen Z, what is it?
It's called
Next Gen.
Next Gen. They all have an ADU. 98% of the new houses that are being built in his district have an ADU. People want that product because they want somewhere for their kid or their mother to live. You guys think of like an inefficiency, someone cut up a house. This is the hottest product, not just here, in the nation.
I've seen them.
And you
They're
give
super
people
cool.
flexibility.
They're super cool. For me, it's for when. Let me not go into. Yes. It's the doghouse model. All right, we're going into Mr. Attorney. We're going to. Well, I would have said it another way. I said the clean version. All right, 8A1, Mr. Attorney.
Yes, sir. The zoning director will introduce the item.
8A1, PM2 Group, LLC and Homestead MB Partners, application number Z 2024000029. We've had 89 protests and 14 waivers of support on this application, and this is an appeal from the Community Zoning Appeals Board.
All right, public hearing is open. Having no registered speakers, public hearing is closed. But the applicant will have some time to. Commissioner, did you? Name and address and how much time are you going to need?
Thank you, Commissioner. I think 5 minutes, but I can go longer if you want us to.
No. 5 or like 2.
Very good. Okay, I'll make it quick. Ben Fernandez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here on behalf of the PM2 Group. This item was before you at the last meeting, but could not be decided on because of the transcript issue. It is approximately 9.18 acres south of 304th Street. You have the city of Homestead to the north, and as you can see, it's primarily abutting an RU1 zoning district. We had initially requested an RU1MA zoning designation, which we believe would be compatible with the abutting property to the east, which is being developed with 5,000 square foot lots through the workforce housing program. However, the Community Zoning Appeals Board did not agree with us, and so we amended our request and are now asking for RU1 zoning, which is more consistent with some of the RU1 zoning to the south and also to the north. We have a non-use variance to allow access to public streets by means of a private drive, and due to that non-use variance, we're tied to the site, to the lot layout plan that we're proposing. The area is designated low-density residential, which allows between 2.5 to 6 units per acre, and the neighborhood characteristics are, of course, single-family. There is some estate density to the west, but primarily it is RU1 type zoning. The original lot layout that we had proposed was for 40 homes on the property with one street dividing the 2 blocks. And as a result of the discussions with the neighbors, I'll just skip to that. We had a meeting on November 21st, and then we had a subsequent meeting on December 5th with the neighbors, which resulted in a decrease of the number of homes from 40 to 32 homes, and an increase in the lot frontage from 60 to 75 feet, which is consistent with the RU1 zoning district, and that also the lot size increased from 8,125 square feet to 10,190 feet, which is very consistent with the RU1 to the south, and of course larger than the lot sizes of the properties to the east. And this is the new layout for the 32 homes, 2 blocks with 16 homes on each block. We, of course, are meeting the need for housing throughout the county. You have a depleted housing supply that depleted last year. We don't have any objections from neighbors since we revised our request. And so we have 17 letters of support in the record as well. And with that said, I'll close my presentation and ask for your approval. Thank you.
Commissioner District 8, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your modification of your application. I do have a few questions that I want to clarify on the record, and this can be either to our administration or to the applicant. I do not know whether it's appropriate to have restrictions or covenants on these zoning applications, but the reduction, how do we codify that on the zoning end?
If I may,
Sure.
Commissioner? So we have an accompanying non-use variance, and whenever you have a variance, in addition to rezoning, the variance can be conditioned any way you'd like to condition it. In this case, we have a lot layout plan for the 32 homes, and so that approval is conditioned on our developing based on that lot layout plan.
Thank you for that. Are you acknowledging and in agreement with that to the
Yes,
administration?
yes, Commissioner. It's condition number 2. It ties into that lot layout plan. With the
Okay.
32 lots.
Okay, great. And those were the concerns that I have because 6,000 square feet was way too small. It's why you had the denial from CZAB. It's just not compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. But even at the RU1 at 7,500, to the south, the lot sizes are actually 11,000, and to the east, the lot sizes are actually 8,000. So I greatly appreciate you increasing your lot size to the 10,190. I'm really happy to see that. And to the administration or to the applicant, would that be incorporated in the non-use variance as well as part of the site plan? So it's something that is codified and would be required in order for them to develop?
That's correct. They're tied to those lot sizes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Talk to me about the lot frontage. In your, I think it was your final slide, you had indicated you started at 0 lot frontage, which I would not have approved, and CZAB did not approve.
No, I'm sorry, that's a misunderstanding.
Okay.
It's confusing to me as well. The reason it says 0 is because we have a private drive.
Okay.
Was required by Public Works, and so there's no frontage technically on a public street.
Got it.
But our original frontage was 60 feet, which is was just 10 feet less than what RU1 requires. We've increased that to make it 75 feet, which is totally compliant with RU1.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. And talk to me about the historic structure on the property dating back to 1935. What is being done and what is being considered?
Well, initially, because of the date of construction, there was a question as to whether or not it had any historic viability. We had a deferral of the application. We met with the Historic Preservation Office, and they determined that really it wasn't worthy of designation. However, we have agreed to provide photographs to the State Historic Department, and so we will comply with the request of the Historic Preservation Office.
Okay, and to the administration, that's your understanding as well. This structure from 1935 has been deemed by our Historic Preservation Board to have no historic value?
The way the applicant described it is correct. They need to file it with the state, the historic structure in the photos, as he mentioned. That's correct.
Okay, and the 89 protests that are on file with this application, can you confirm that those 89 protests came in before the application was amended to where it is now?
We received several of those protests before it went to CZAB. And then in December of last year, we received a letter with a petition, signed petitions. And on the top of that petition, they referenced the old zoning district. So they did not have the zoning district with the larger lots as the applicant has described today.
Okay, thank you so much. So I appreciate all of the changes and amendments that you've made to the application. Again, I see this as the process working where the community is getting involved and the applicants, and I I really can't tell you how much I appreciate you and your client taking the community's concerns into consideration and bringing forth an application that is truly reflective of the area. There's so much change happening in the South, in Districts 8 and District 9, and so it is always very important to me that these considerations and that the voice of our neighbors are taken into account. So I'm grateful to you for doing that, and I think it's going to be a beautiful project, and I think you're going to deliver a beautiful product to our community and to our residents. So thank you for that, and with that, I'm happy to move this application consistent with staff's recommendations.
Thank you very much, Commissioner.
All right,
Thank
it's
you.
been moved by the District 8 Commissioner. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Seeing no further discussion on this item, clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Commissioner Steinberg? Commissioner Bastian? Commissioner Cabrera? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins?
Four.
Commissioner Gilbert? Commissioner Gonzalez? Vice Chairman McGee? Chairman Rodriguez?
Vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you.
Go ahead and take up item 8C1.
Application 8C1, Northrop Brickell 4 LLC, application number Z20230000450. We've had no protests, no waivers of support in this application. I'd like to mention, Mr. Chairman, just a little while ago this morning, we received a new covenant from the applicant on this application, and a few pages were distributed to the board. They increased the contribution to transit from $500,000 to $1 million, and it also includes, at your desk, both public works conditions as far as the traffic signal and the rapid flashing beacon for pedestrians. So that's in this new covenant that was distributed.
Sounds great. We also going to go ahead and open and close public hearing, seeing that we have no public speakers registered to speak. Is the applicant here? Is the applicant present?
Yeah, Mr. Fernandez, you're here.
Mr. Fernandez, is this one of your items? Did you want to speak on this item, or you wanted to forfeit that time?
I just want to make one brief comment, if I may. Ben Fernandez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, and we have submitted a revised covenant.
Yep, they said all that already.
And that's it. We just want to confirm that that's been.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Public hearing is closed. Commissioner from District 5, you're
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the application for this very pretty project on a not super big lot in Brickell. You've done a lot, particularly to try to manage to the best of your ability the traffic off of 11th Street. So a couple of comments, some of which may need to be codified, but others are just something I'd like you to do. I was looking at the entrance, the entrance and the egress from 11th Street, and I'd like to go out there with Bernard or whoever from Ziskovich is doing that, because I've seen a couple of other hotel-like places where they're doing the valet and all of that under that. I just want to make sure that that the entrance is wide enough for the cars to indicate that, right? So the plans were a little unclear. So if you guys would indulge me with that. The other thing is in this covenant, there is an RFB at Southwest 12th and 2nd, except that I have a covenant with another building to do exactly the same thing. So I don't know what to do about that. Is anybody from DTBW here? Should I show okay, broken record between Commissioner Gonzalez and I. People, make sure they're here next time. Thank you. Obviously, there's no reason for two people to put the same thing in. It's ridiculous. Mr. Zoning Director, I just want, even though they put this in this covenant, I agree with it. I think as we go forward, when you are reviewing the final plans as it goes through the process, make sure that you're looking on the whole of 2nd Avenue, because we have so much development going on there that perhaps that RFB might just want to be a block or two away. Does that make sense? So let's just make sure we have these things in the right place. I also would like to give the flexibility between Mr. Fernandez and his team, the Domus project, and the project to the south, which is the big South Side Park and fire station project. I'd like them to have the flexibility to combine that RFB into a traffic signal if DTPW thinks, because you pitch those two contributions together and you pretty much get one traffic signal, and I'm not trying to spend extra money. And I'm happy to meet on all of this afterwards to make sure that we do the right thing on 2nd Avenue, because every development can either be helped or screwed by these others. Because right now we have 5 or 6 new buildings that are being built there.
Okay, well, now we don't need anyone from DTPW. Thank you very much. You can meet me in my office after the meeting. The other thing I'd like to just point out as Mr. Zoning Director, as you go forward, is that one little block of Second Avenue, there's a lot going on. There's a bus and trolley stop. There's 2 parking spots, which seems ridiculous to just have 2. So perhaps, you may want to work on that. And the bike lanes there. So as you're looking into that as the plans come further to fruition, I'm not clear that those 2 parking spots make any bloody sense, and it could just impede a lot of, traffic flow for you. So those are just comments. And do we need to modify that covenant on that RFB since it's in 2 places, or what do I need to do with that?
Commissioner, I think we would, if the applicant is amenable to it, recommend modifying paragraph 2 under traffic signal to allow for the alternative. So it could read, for example, and the current condition, I think, would allow us to work with the applicant on the exact language, but something along the lines of, in lieu of the RRFB, to the extent approved by DTPW, and if there's another developer who would have been also doing an RRFB, that it can be combined to a traffic signal.
That's fine with me, Mr. Fernandez. Does that work?
Yes, Commissioner.
For you all. And fortunately, the 2 developments are right next to each other, and both are represented by his firm, so it's pretty easy to talk amongst themselves. Okay, and colleagues, also, I do need to make a Jennings disclosure on this one. I did have conversations about the street calming, the traffic signal and that, and then also on community benefits, but I am able to make an unbiased decision. So with that, I move the item, however the attorneys tell me to say it.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to commend the District 5 Commissioner for consistently having these contributions to community benefits on these large applications. I think this one was a $500,000 contribution. I mean, that is amazing and it's commendable. And I know they're very large structures that have hundreds of units. So I guess they have that ability to make those financial contributions. I just want to recognize you because I've seen it happen a couple of times now, and I think it's tremendous. So congratulations.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Sorry, if I can just clarify the motion, it would be with a per staff recommendation with a 30-day condition to submit the final revised and executed covenant per the revisions that were read by Mr. Silva and distributed, and with the additional conditions and changes that were proffered by Commissioner Higgins.
Just to provide, basically I'm adding common sense and flexibility, so we don't do the same thing twice. Thank you. Okay, so moved as our attorneys have stated.
So moved with all that stuff. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Commissioner Steinberg? Yes. Commissioner Bastian?
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera? Yes. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins?
4.
Commissioner Gilbert? Yes. Commissioner Gonzalez?
4.
Commissioner Higgins? Yes. Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. All right, Mr. Attorney, I think it's our last item 8C3.
Application 8C3, Residences at Palm Court, application number Z2024000089. We've had no protests, no waivers of support for this application. We did distribute new conditions 7 and 8, and those are just related to some clarifications regarding the landscaping approvals.
All right, we've got, to open a public hearing, we've got 2 speakers signed up. Who's at the podium? All right. We've got 2 public speakers. We got Theophilus Williams and Walter Collins Jr. Please approach the podium. Sir, your name and address for the record. You've got 2 minutes to speak on the issue.
Theophilus Williams, 1391 Northwest 95th Street. First of all, I want to say Palm Court towers that they're trying to develop. Many of the people I speak with don't even know this going on and don't know what's going on. Second of all, it's no relationship to telling the public what they're doing because we paying the tax. So these bunch of disability people don't have no knowledge of what's going on. where they gonna live at. You can build, but where they gonna live? And if I wouldn't have knew about this zoning meeting, the sign sitting on the gate, the whole public should be knowing this, and we should be here. But the question is, you can tax us on all these developments that are building, but through the chair and the board, if the governor of Florida take away property tax, where do y'all stand today? Where do y'all stand? This is the issue right now, because if he take away property tax, we don't have no service. Not only that, it's a broken communication in this community.
Mr. Williams, what, are you speaking on the item? Like,
Yeah, the item. I mean, the people don't know what's going on. We billing, but we don't know.
are you against this item?
I'm against it until there be some knowledge of education, telling the people where they're gonna go and where they're gonna live and how this gonna benefit them.
I think we're gonna hear that now. Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Walter Collins. Mr. Collins, your full name and address for the record. You got 2 minutes to speak on the issue.
And my name is Walter Collins Jr. My address is 1255 Northwest 90 Street, Miami 33147. About this project that's been presented here, on the beginning of it, no one in the neighborhood, in my neighborhood, where I live at, in the North Shore neighborhood, knew about the project being, formed to be built. I only received a letter a couple of weeks ago, well, a few weeks ago, about the structure in which it's going to be, and for an increase of the frontage of the building with for the property line, they increase to build against the property line, which is for additional units allowed. If I had not received this here notice, I would not have known about it, of being a building, even being built, a property that was sold to have this built. Now, for us to come here and say they're gonna put a 12-story building on there, and they want to build it beyond the front property line with an additional units on there, which, according to the law, is not allowed. This I cannot deal with. If the building gonna be built, if it's been approved, maybe I can't stop it, but I do not, the homeowner association that we're with do not want that building to be built beyond the property line.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Public hearing is officially closed. Now the applicant can approach. You know the drill. You're seasoned. Name and address, and how much time you're going to need.
Javier Avignon with the law firm of Bills and Sunberg, 1450 Brickell Avenue, here on behalf of the applicant. I'm joined by Albert Milo, the principal for the lessee. This is a project that is in conjunction with Miami-Dade Public Housing. The property is owned by Miami-Dade Public Housing, and pursuant to a resolution approved by this board, entered into a lease with the applicant today. We have a full presentation, but I know this is the last item on the agenda. I know that there are perhaps some questions and clarifications that are requested, so we're prepared to go straight into that if that is the will of the board. And I think Mr. Milo wants to clarify some things from the get-go.
Go ahead, Mr. Milo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Albert Milo, president of Related Urban. Just for the record, as As Mr. Avino said, this is another one of our public-private partnerships with Miami-Dade County. There are currently 191 units on this site that are all public housing units. They were built in the 70s. They're not in very good shape. The reason why we're here before you today is because we consciously did a site plan to build 316 units in the rear of the project in order to not displace any of the residents while this construction is going on. This is the method that we have applied over 30 times throughout the county with the public-private partnerships that we've done. We always try to build without any displacement. So in this case, we're not only replacing all 191 units, we're adding 125 units, all of which are capped at 80% of area median income. So the technical reason why we're here, as you heard, is for the rear of the property, is because the building is pushed back so we don't displace the residents that currently live in the middle of the site. Now, once that building is complete, we will demolish all of those units and we will build in the front, actually, 2 health facilities that are gonna be built there on site that will also be able to help the residents. By the way, these units are currently majority elderly residents there. So just wanted to clarify that for the record. It's not about, and we did have 2 community meetings in July at that community to inform all of the residents. So they are well aware of their legal rights under all of the HUD provisions, but also the fact that we're gonna be building in the rear to not displace them while this construction is going on.
Thank you, Mr. Milo, for that Reader's Digest version. Very well. Commissioner Bastien.
Yes, I still would like, thank you so much for some of the detailed information presented, Mr. Milo, but I still would like you to go to the 3 minutes to go through
Absolutely.
the presentation. Thank you.
I will go quickly through it. So as Mr. Milo indicated, this is a public housing site built in 1975. These are some images of the existing conditions. There are 191 units, but while there are 191 units, only 143 are currently occupied. This again shows more of the conditions. There are 2 different structures. This is the site located on 95th Street, and some site images, contextual images of the surrounding neighborhood. As Mr. Milo referred to, we had 2 meetings in conjunction with public housing on July 9th and July 11th. Over 100 residents did attend. We did receive feedback from the residents that did influence and modify our design accordingly based on that feedback that we received. This is an image, a rendering of the L-shaped structure that will replace the 2 existing. These are images of what the public housing units will look like. As Mr. Milo said, there are 316 total units, which increases the supply of affordable housing units by 125. All of these units are affordable, meaning 80% AMI or below. These all have what has become the standard package of amenities, if you will. You know, the stainless steel appliances, the energy efficient windows, and granite countertops, and all the things that you'd see in a customary market rate housing unit. Again, more images. Laundry facilities on each floor. There are no laundry facilities currently at Palm Court, which is was an important feature for the residents. State-of-the-art fitness center, multi-purpose room, game room, dog walking, etc. And then, as Mr. Milo also mentioned, the structures that will come at the front, on the frontage of 95th Street, once the new residential building is built and the current residential buildings are removed, will be the partnership that we have with Jesse Trice for a community health system that has approximately 5,000 square feet of medical space along 95th Street. This is just an image of the zoning data. I'll skip through that. I think this is a telling image of the site plan. So you'll see outlined in there are the 2 existing structures, as well as a site plan of the proposed structure. The L-shaped structures towards the rear, and those are the 2 existing structures. This has been very designed very much with phasing in mind to not only minimize disruption during construction, but also make sure that we are not displacing residents and allowing the new structure to be complete so that we can then move residents and demolish the existing structures. So this is, I'll go real quick through the phasing plan. As you see, there's phase 1, which will accommodate the new structure. Phase 2 will be the relocation from the existing structures. Phase 3 is the demolition. And then phase 4 will be the construction of the community center that fronts 95th Street, as well as the revised parking layout. And then this one I think is also very important. This shows you the construction area, right? So we have phase 1, which is the primary construction activity. All access and ingress and egress will occur and we from the side to minimize disruption to the existing residents. And we've also coordinated for temporary parking for the residents during construction on an abutting parcel. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentations. I have a few questions that I'd like you to answer and to put them on record. Out of the 316 units presented in the site plan, how many units are set aside for affordable? How many workforce and how many market rate?
So 191 units are replacement public housing units under the RAD program, and the other 125 are all affordable at 80% of area median income.
Okay. And I'd like to thank you for the community outreach. One of my staff has attended, and then it was very well attended, and then I hope that will continue. Please share again, put it on record as to the plans that you have so that no residence is moved out during the building phase.
Yeah, so as Javier showed on the slide, and maybe you could go back on the slide with where you show the parking, but we're working with North Shore Hospital, which has the adjacent parking lot that they're not really using there, to do parking and all of that logistics so the residents can park on that side while we build the building in the rear, and they will continue to reside in the two buildings, the round tower and the bar building in the front of the property. So they will, at their option, be able to remain on site.
All right. Can you also speak to the environment there? Since there are a lot of elderlies living in this development, speak to the beautification and then spaces that you will create to make sure that the elderly are able to, walk around, ambulate, and things like that.
Yeah, so right now the site, again, it was built in the 70s. It doesn't have a lot of connectivity. It doesn't have a lot of, it has a big, open grass area in the back, but it's just kind of forgotten space. So as part of our site plan, as you can see, we have a whole exercise and wellness and dog park area in the rear. We also have other areas for on the west side of the property for sitting and outdoor communal spaces, none of which exist there today. In addition to the fact that we're going to have our typical on-site amenities that many of you have seen in our projects. We'll have a full community room for the elderly to have activities. We'll have an exercise area for them. So we'll have a computer room. All of that, none of those facilities exist today because again, it was a typical of the time when those buildings were built.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. So I'd like to commend you again for the community outreach. I definitely would like them to continue because we've gotten good feedback. Community engagement is key. But the main concerns that, that I hear are the fact that some of them, that to make sure that no one is displaced during the building phase. I want to make sure of that. So as a condition for approval of this application, I request the following, that the developer shall agree that no residents will be displaced or forced to relocate at any time during any phase of the construction project, and further that you agree to amend the master development agreement and relocation plan approved by the board through resolution R-284-23, if necessary, subject to reapproval of the county attorney's office, because I want this to be placed to make sure that no one, will be displaced at any phase at all. With that, I will move the item, and I'd like to know how, if you agree. I'd like to hear your response. Thank you.
So I have no problem with that fundamentally. I agree with the concept because that's how, like I said, that's how we've done all of our projects. The only caveat that I will add to that, and maybe Mr. Smith wants to, chime in here, but there are some instances where the residents want to because of a little bit of the inconvenience, but fine by me in there. But they do have some rights under HUD.
I'll second the item, and I want to recognize.
Okay.
All right, with that, I move to approve, consistent to staff approval,
Okay, so it's been moved
with conditions.
with
Revised
conditions, revised, per staff recommendation, approval, all that stuff that was said. Seconded by Commissioner Gilbert, and Commissioner Gilbert has some questions?
Yeah, on the item, first, on the caveat that we just added, I think what you're looking for is being forced to move because of the development, because there are other reasons that people actually, like non-payment, violation of the law, there are other reasons. So we want to be careful about what we condition and how we condition it. This is prefaced on the relocation because of the new development.
Right.
And not all of the other stuff, which is obviously governed by HUD contracts.
Correct.
That's the first thing. The second thing is, I like this, and I know that, and this, I'm going to support this item, Milo. I think it's going to be definitely an improvement for the facility. So, and to Miami-Dade Housing, that's great. I appreciate it, but I want us to be careful about something. Be careful about building 100% affordable complexes. Be careful. And I use this caveat, and this is not this is going to be beautiful. You all do great work, but every ghetto looked good when it was new. Be careful about stacking people who are all low income in one area. You want to mix incomes in large developments. There are financial reasons for that. There's how communities transition forward happen because of that. So we can use development as a tool to actually increase neighborhood vibrancy and value. And so I just want us to be mindful of that when we're partnering. That's not so much to the private sector, but when we're partnering with someone from a county perspective, because what we've seen in some of our neighborhoods is we build large, essentially public housing units, and what you do is stagnate the development of entire neighborhoods. And it's one of the things that I had to remediate in Miami Gardens when I became mayor. And so we did it initially with changing zoning and how we approved and the densities that we approved and people who we target. And you always want to make sure there is affordable. You always want to make sure the elderly's protected, but you also want to sprinkle in some, market rates sometimes. You want to sprinkle in some, single family access, new young folks. You want to sprinkle that in so that development
To the chair.
looks good.
To the chair. There are market rates.
Hold on.
Item,
Commissioner.
units, yes.
I'm going to recognize you in 2 seconds. You're the first one I'm recognizing, but hold on. Are you done?
Yeah, my understanding was that everything was going to be elderly or affordable.
It's actually intergenerational.
You're recognized to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The replacement units are elderly. The other ones will be non-elderly. So, and they are at 80% of area median income, which is market rate for that area. So it's about $1,500–$1,600 to for a 2-bedroom, $1,800. So it is, to your point, yes, it's mixing of incomes. It's not all there. Yeah.
Bastian, you good? All right, Commissioner Higgins and Regalado.
Let me just finish this point.
Go ahead.
Because that's market rate now. It's going to sound interesting, but when you're engaging in restricted covenants, it's difficult to explain to folks that you want some folks who don't have to pay low rent in facilities, but it's better for the community if you have a mix, and locking everything in at affordable when the market changes, it kind of migrates at the same level for affordable. You understand this because you're doing development. I know that this is a public-private partnership, but it's just really, 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 we should be mindful when we're doing those approvals.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But I support this side.
Commissioner Higgins.
Well, congratulations, Commissioner Bastian. This is great. I love nothing more than seeing dilapidated buildings going away so that residents live in lovely places. And I have been, I guess, both disfortunate and fortunate enough to have similar sorts of large pieces of property in District 5 where we've had to do the same thing. And certainly want to echo what Commissioner Gilbert has mentioned about mixed income communities become vibrant communities, right? And they become self-sustaining and there's jobs there. But one of the things that I've been able to do, and you are lucky enough to have a piece of property that will end up with two buildings on it, is we've been able to do that mixing of incomes in different buildings. So one building, you get the financing all set up like you've done so ably here with this to really get the low-income people housed right away. But when, probably 2 years from now, after everyone's safely moved in, you're able to build the third building, you could consider a different sort of mix. So I think this property gives you opportunities to do all kinds of things. And I want to congratulate you on this project. I'm happy to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, Commissioner, I also have a few of these in my district. SOMI was a great example of a community that was concerned about the displacement, and they did a fantastic job. And Smathers is an example, of a development that really pushed back on the mixed use. So to Commissioner Gilbert's point, I think we all agree, and one of the things we have to do is explain this to the community, because I'm working on a few in my district, which is, difficult because historically people are used to the Puget-Igoe model, right? And they feel that they're better served by having more units at a price point. And when you bring in different price points, you get a little bit of pushback from the community, or a lot of pushback, which is what I get. But, you try to talk about the impact that it has, long-term, the longevity of it. And Milo mentioned something that's so important. And unless you've been dealing with these things for a while, the concept of multi-generational, housing, for those of us who have been dealing with these buildings for a while, like it takes you a while to wrap your head around that concept. But that's part of the pushback that you get, right? All change is hard, but definitely, when you have an opportunity to do something of this size, it's transformative. And in terms of the surrounding community, I agree with you, Commissioner, and that's why, I think we have to Commissioner Bastian's point about the community outreach, you get it from both sides. Right, you get it from the folks that are there that want more units at their price point, and then you get it from the neighbors who consider it a NIMBY. So it kind of pushes on both sides. But the concept of having the ability to move in between these units as someone that's receiving public housing, I think is what we need to focus on. That you may start at the lower price point, but that you may eventually be able to move up to those other units. And especially for like a younger generation, that's important. The only thing that I would say is I have one in Smathers. We couldn't fix all the buildings, so then they fight over who gets to live in the new building. So you're lucky you don't have that problem, because that becomes like nobody wants it, and then the new building's up, and then everybody wants to move into the new building. But I think we do have a lot to teach the community in terms of the dramatic shift that we've seen in public housing. And how mixed use is really the only way to go, and we don't want like senior voting centers. And I say that because there are some politicians who are still, beating the drum because they want their senior voting centers, and they don't want mixed use. So I know Milo gets a lot of that heat. So congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Bastian.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So to the two residents who came, thank you. We want you to continue to participate. from what you heard, that there will be more community meetings, and we hope that you partake in these meetings and then that you make your voices heard. To the question about, about affordability, the area median income for Miami-Dade County is $79,000. And then 80% of the AMI is $63,000. All right? So just wanted to point that out. $63,550 for those making 80% of the AMI, which is $79,000.
Wow. All right, with that, Commissioner Bastien moves the item.
With that, I move the item.
And it's been seconded by Commissioner Gilbert already with all of the stuff that you all have said already, and they have said. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Steinberg? Commissioner Bastian? Commissioner Cabrera? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? 4. Commissioner Gilbert? Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Have a good day.
And show us adjourned.